If you just got done doing 24.3, you might be pretty sore in your quads and your arms from thrusters, a lot of chest to bars, muscle ups. So I want to go over today a couple strategies that you can use to fast track your recovery following 24.3. So first thing you're going to need is just a lacrosse ball. You can use a golf ball as well, but a lacrosse ball is a little bit of a better place to start. So what you're going to do, you're going to take a lacrosse ball, you're going to put it on the inside of either the rig or you can put it against a wall, and ideally it's starting right on the side of your shoulder. So lacrosse ball is going to be on the side here, and you're really just putting some pressure in against that lacrosse ball against the wall or the rig. So for the first part, you're going to let your hand just rest on your other shoulder, and you're really just going to move around, try to find some sore spots. It might be a little bit more sore on the side of the shoulder, moving closer to the back of the shoulder where that rotator cuff starts at, and then as it moves around towards the front. And then once you find that sore spot, you'll do a couple circular motions forward, about 5 to 10, and then same thing going backwards. You'll move along to another spot. Once you've done some circular motions in a couple spots, you'll go back to that first spot that you noticed, and you're gonna do just some cross-body reaching. So that ball stays right there, you're gonna reach across your body and come back in. Reach across your body and come back in. You'll do that about 10 times. So that's a good rotator cuff self-massage that you can do to start. Next, what you'll need is a relatively thicker, heavier mobility band. You could attach it to either a pull-up bar or just the top of the rig here as well. Either works well. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna have a loose grip on the band. You don't wanna be death gripping it. You're gonna let your arm rest in that overhead position, and you're just gonna sit your hips back. So that band is giving you a little bit of distraction. So you want that band pulling your arm up into that overhead position as you sit a little bit further back. And you'll see here, as I kind of let the band do the work, it almost pulls my arm out of the socket to an extent. And you're just gonna gradually just sit a little bit further back into that. You should feel this in the lat area. So maybe a little bit in the lower lat, you'll feel it towards the low back, but it's more so gonna be in that armpit area that you feel this. As you get comfortable there, you can hold it for about 30 seconds. You can add a little bit of extra rotation. You'll maybe get a little bit more cuff, a different angle of the lat. Same thing, holding that for about 30 seconds. So those are two upper body techniques that you can do to get started. So now I wanna move on to the lower body, and we're gonna start with just a foam roller. So what that's gonna look like to start, we're just gonna work on foam rolling the quads. And the biggest thing that I would say here is don't go full body weight right away. Gradually increase the intensity of the foam roller on those quads. So you're gonna lie on your stomach, you're gonna have one quad on the foam roller like so. Your other leg is gonna be off to the side to start. You can be on your forearms if you want, and then you're just gradually moving back and forth, maybe getting a little bit of the inner part of the quad. You can move to the outer part as well. After you find a spot that's pretty sore, tender, same thing, do a couple oscillations, little circles back and forth. And then the next thing you can do, it's more like a pin and stretch technique where you can get on that spot and then you can bend your knee and come back down. Bend your knee and come back down. As you can see here, I have a good amount of weight on my hands. I want to offload myself. If you go with too much pressure, you're not going to get that quad or tissue to relax, and you're probably going to have a negating effect on that quad. So you're just going to move like so. Do that about 10 times. Then you can move to another spot. You can move as far up to the hip as possible or as comfortable. So that's the first strategy we'll do to work out those quads if you're a little bit sore, especially from those thrusters. The last thing is gonna be a quad stretch. So all you're gonna need is a bench, and if a bench is too aggressive for you, you can just have your foot on the top of a foam roller. So what this looks like, if we're stretching our right quad, I'm gonna have my right leg behind me, and I'm gonna be in this position here. Before I worry about moving into any more of aggressive stretch from here, I wanna focus on keeping my ribs down, so I'm not flared out like this. Ribs are kept down, and I'm gently squeezing my glute. 20 to 30% effort at most. Once you squeeze that glute, you'll probably feel a stretch in that quad on the front of your hip kick in. And you're just gonna hold that there for that 20 to 30% effort, and then you're gonna gradually just move a little bit further back. But again, I'm not losing that good position for my low back. My ribs are staying down. You can kind of hold on for some support if you need to. You can hold this again for about 30 to 45 seconds. So those are 4 strategies that you can get started using if you're a little bit sore or want to fast track your recovery after 24.3.